Good afternoon. I am Lindsay Miller. I am the Interim Director of Undergraduate Admissions at Canisius College. I'm excited that you've all decided to join us today to learn more about our biology major. We have our co-chairs of the biology department here, Dr. Stewart and Dr. Maury. Hello, guys.
Hello.
So they're going to take you through an overview of the major. We also have students here that Dr. Stewart will introduce in just a second. For those of you attending and watching today, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. There is a question and answer field at the bottom. We will answer the questions that we can related to the biology major, the biology department, and any questions we don't get to, I will certainly follow up with after the webinar here. Sometimes there's some questions that aren't quite related to the major or to the topic. If they're more admissions related, we'll follow up with those after the webinar. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Stewart, and you can take it away.
Well, thank you all for taking time out of your afternoon in these very strange times that we're all going through. That said, biology is still going strong, and we are really, really happy to tell you a bit about the program and a bit about what it would mean to be a biology major at Canisius. So I am Dr. Andrew Stewart. I'm one of the two co-chairs of the department. My other co-chair is Dr. Lisa Maury.
Hello.
And we're joined by three current bio students. So Henry Burton is one of our seniors who is getting ready to graduate, whatever that means now, and is also a current student in my genetics course. Becca Pretzel is a junior in bio. Oh, she's frozen. And Calvin Herrick is a bio freshman. As we go through this presentation, I'm going to hit some of the highlights of the program and then pause to allow the students to tell you a bit about their experiences in the program and some of the things that they're up to. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen to give you which hopefully that is working. Excellent. So let's see if I can, there we go. So as a bio major at Canisius, our goal is, and our commitment is to give you a comprehensive and transformative education by 10 of the most passionate student-centric faculty that you will find anywhere. We love our students, we're proud of our students, and hopefully that is something that will transmit through the internet, that you'll see really how excited we are to be able to do what we love to do, which is teach every day of the year. You will also have ample undergraduate research opportunities, and you will really be part of a community environment, an environment that's all about doing everything we can to tailor this program and tailor your experiences to what you want to get out of it, what your career goal is, and what you want to do going forward with the rest of your life. And after graduation, you're not dead to us. And we don't just ask you for money. We actually try to stay in touch with you as much as you want to be in touch. This last Friday, I actually received a Zoom invitation from a group of students that were in my very first class that I ever taught here at Canisius, Bio 111. They're all third year and fourth year med students. And so we got together for a Zoom happy hour, and we must have chatted for about an hour and a half, catching up, finding out what they're up to. And this isn't the first time. There are many students that I regularly have a coffee with, and for those that are of age, we'll meet for a beer with their former professor and talk about their life. And so we really want to stay engaged. Other people have gone to weddings of their students, baby showers of their students. And so we really welcome you and want you to be part of an extended family. It all starts off with a 4-semester sequence of what we believe to be foundational biology. The first semester, we start you off in Bio 111, which is focused on evolution and ecology. And that's actually pretty unusual. we do this because we find it's some of the most tractable, conceptually easy to understand material. At the same time, many of you are going to be adjusting to a very different environment from high school, where you are expected to do far more work outside of the classroom, and the pace of the material is faster, the volume of the material is greater. And so we're trying to give you sort of, and the design of this as a ramp is not accidental. We are trying to ramp you up to bring you wherever you are when you first come into the program, and raise you up to where you need to be. And so that first semester, not only is it focusing on that material, it's also focusing on the skills that you need to be a complete student. Study skills, time management skills, and we really try to work with you as you adjust to that. And then your second semester, we get into much more of a traditional anatomy and physiology content. This will be very analogous to a lot of the material that you had for those of you that are in AP biology. This will be the sort of the greatest overlap, but we take it to where you got it and we push it further. And then your sophomore year, we continue to ramp you up and give you the cell biology and biochemistry. And here's another way in which that we're different than other places. Instead of having them as separate classes, we're giving them to you as this sort of stitched together curriculum, where we take each aspect of the cell and then we give you the cell biology of it, and then we then turn it over to another professor. So it's co-taught. And let's see, question here. We bring it on, and it's one person is a cell biologist, one person is a biochemist, and you get that same material taught from the perspective of the biochemistry. And then we walk through that year in this sort of stitched together where you really see not only what's going on in the cell, but chemically what is happening. What if you don't want to study ecology and you only want to talk about the human body? That's a very common answer. Question. The design of Bio 111 and 112 is also done because we do have the understanding that many, if not most of you, are pre-med. You want to be some sort of either doctor or dentist or pre-health profession. And we understand that. And part of one of the things that you hopefully all know that you're going to have to do sometime in your junior year is take the MCAT. So as you take the MCAT, it will actually contain some evolution and ecology on it. And so we're going to make sure that as you get to the end of that first year, you have that foundation that you need to do well on these subsequent tests. So at this point, I'm going to pause and I'm going to let our panelists chime in on what their experience was in those. Calvin is just at the end of Bio 112, but both Henry and Becca have made it through 111, 112. And if they want to speak to their sort of experiences there, both in the class or beyond that in sort of the interactions and the relationships they formed in those first couple of years. So maybe we'll start, we'll let experience speak first, and we'll go with Henry and then Becca and then Calvin.
Sure. Hi, guys. I'm Henry. I just wanted to start out by saying that it's a pleasure to be here. I started out as a chemistry major, actually, and switched, I think it was the second semester of my freshman year. Yeah, that's correct. And I switched to biology, and it was by far the best decision I've ever made. Not speaking poorly about our chem department, I'm just a bio guy myself. And so just speaking about 111 and 112, I do like that question about liking or preferring to focus on the human body. I originally wanted to do that too. I was pre-med from the beginning when I entered college, and that's something I kind of focused on as well. But I came to learn that liberal arts education not only applies to your entire education, but to your major as well. It's best and it looks better to professional schools if you have a wide range of abilities and skills and knowledge. So to be able to speak on things other than just the human body itself, anatomy and physiology, if you can speak on related things such as evolution, it shows that you have more in-depth knowledge of biology as a whole and makes you a better applicant. So, so I like that question, but yeah. Thank you.
And can I add something?
Sure.
I would just say for Henry and Becca, if you wanted to say anything about the sophomore sequence as well, because they did also complete that.
Becca?
Hi, everyone. I'm Becca Pretzel, like Dr. Stewart said, and I'm a junior. So my experience with the intro bio course and the biochem is a little bit more recent than Henry's, but not that much. But I want to add on to what Dr. Stewart said a little bit about the introductory bio 111 and bio 112, in the sense that I wasn't really interested so much in the ecology aspect either. I am pre-med as well, so I'm super interested in the human body, but there's so much that's connected with it that it's so important. So not only is it on the MCAT, but it's super important to your understanding as a physician if that's what you're deciding to pursue. I'm in a class right now that's medical and environmental microbiology, and it's crazy to realize how much the little things in the environment that you wouldn't notice have such a significant impact on the human body itself, or just people in general and how they work. So disease and pathogenesis and everything like that. So that background understanding not only will help you get into your professional school, but also helps you to have a more full understanding of the material and science in general. Then with biochem and cell biology, I loved this course. It's very difficult. I'd have to say probably one of the most difficult courses you'd take, if not the most, but it's super interesting and helpful, one, in the sense that they incorporate the biochem and cell biology together, because you learn the biochemistry of this mechanism, and then you learn the cell biology of the same one, so it goes hand in hand, and you have a better full understanding that builds on each other and goes, coincides with each other, rather than learning it one year, then the next semester you go back. I think it's important to learn it all at once, because you get that deeper understanding right away and it can click more, because sometimes one thing explains the other, and if you don't have them at the same time, then you can't fully understand it until later. So while it's extremely difficult, there's a really deep understanding that you get from the biochemistry, cell biology course that you wouldn't get if they had it separated.
Calvin, can you tell us a little bit about, so your experiences in 111 and 112?
Yeah, of course. The first thing I'd say to answer your question about the evolution and ecology aspect, as Dr. Stewart said, those concepts are a little more easier to start with. They're a little more digestible than a lot of the anatomy sections that I'm doing right now in Bio 112. So, they really help you, for when you first get into college. It's a big, not shock for everyone, but it's a big jump. And so teaching yourself a lot of those learning habits, as the professors will help you with, is a big part of that. And so having those concepts to start with, instead of jumping you right into the harder stuff, is really, really great. And so I think that's a main thing. I never made study guides in high school. I made a study guide for every single one of the Bio 111 and Bio 112 tests. And they helped me so much in those exams. So stuff like that is why that's designed like that for Bio 111. And if anything, you'll find that a lot of the aspects in Bio 111 are rather interesting as well. I never really got much into evolution in high school, but I found a lot of the concepts of evolution that we covered in 111 very interesting. And then, once you get to 112, there's a big leap in material. It's a little more difficult to do a lot of the anatomy stuff. There's a lot more focus on specific processes. So at that point, you've developed the learning skills, the studying skills that allow you to succeed in Bio 112. So I think those are one of the main factors that really help you with how this course is designed.
Excellent, thank you. So going back to the presentation, and yeah, Katrina, I see your questions, and I'll actually be touching on those as we go. But I'll go to the one that asked us, is it a good class for a pre-vet, or recommend another? So these courses are foundational for all biology majors, and most pre-vet students are going to be some flavor of biology and maybe dual major with ABAC. So again, this is expected foundational material for any sort of pre-health, which pre-vet does fall into.
Can I add to that?
Yes, absolutely.
I would just say that vet schools now are starting to require actually more biochemistry. So our intro sequence includes exposure to the basic biochemistry. And so it's a good foundation for pre-vet students.
So after you complete those first 2 years of biology, which will also go hand in hand with general chemistry and organic chemistry, and you move in to that junior and senior year, every biology major is required to complete 6 upper-level electives. And those electives will cover 3 different areas. So you're required, of those 6 classes, to have 4 laboratories that go along with them to give you a hands-on experience. And they'll cover a wide variety: animal biology, diversity, and molecular and cell. And within those, you'll find that there are courses that you can really tailor those courses that you take to meet your interests and your career goals. So, that's where you would take your upper level physiology, your anatomy, your genetics. You want to take entomology, we have entomology, zoology, freshwater ecology. And so those will cover that. And on top of that, we have 2 seminars, a sophomore level and a senior level seminar, that are designed to be sort of career preparatory. So the sophomore is a skills-based one where it really works on how to give presentations, how to write presentations. As part of that, we help you develop your curriculum vitae, your CV, for going on, whether it's for those of you that don't want to go on to med school or grad school and want to seek employment, we help you put that information together. And then the senior seminar is focused on longer form presentations, taking some of those skills that you acquired as a sophomore and that you will have used in some of your classes, and then delving into research papers. And so we're really working on how to communicate complex scientific information for a science, but more of a, maybe not people that are specialized in a particular area. To give you just a little flavor, a sample of some of the courses that we're talking about, the things that you have to choose from, these are the courses that are currently being offered in rotation. So every year or every other year, such that you would have the opportunity to take this sometime over your 4 years at Canisius. So environmental and pathogenic micro, evolution, wetlands, microbiology, physiology, genetics, developmental bio, advanced cell, molecular biology. There is something here for everyone. And this is where one of our strengths is. Even though that we are a medium to small private liberal arts college, we have a large biology faculty. We have 10 full-time faculty. Each of us is actively engaged in research, and so which we'll touch on in just a minute. And we all come from, we all have different expertises. I'm a population geneticist at heart. And so I do a lot of genetics. At the same time, I'm very interested in evolution. So I also teach evolution and genetics. I'm interested in parasitology. And so each of our expertises, we teach to our strengths. I don't teach physiology. It's not my area. But we have people that is their area teaching these courses. Some of the electives, and what makes it elective, meaning it's not offered with a lab. So some of these things would be, cancer biology or primatology would be difficult to have a laboratory with, but we still can provide you a classroom education and some very functional knowledge about a lot of these other topics. And again, this is a sampling of some of the courses that we offer. And we're constantly exploring our interests and offering new courses as the students are interested in taking them. So of this list, I think the most recent course is zoology. We've offered it the last couple of years, and it's been full both times as we go through and expand, talking about animals other than humans, although humans are part of it, but some of it gives us really where we come from. So it gives you sort of a broader appreciation of where humans fall. Within bio, we also have 5 minors that, in addition to being a bio major, you can really sort of, drill down and focus your interests. So we have a neuroscience, cell and molecular, environmental science, animal behavior, and a zoo biology minor. And so these will contain classes within biology as well for some other departments. So the environmental science minor will include some ABEC and some environmental studies. The neuroscience minor includes some courses from psychology. So they'll give you not only a deeper drill into some of these topics, but they'll allow you to pull in some other related and important coursework from other departments and other professors throughout the college. Then we have labs, and we have labs on two levels. We have the labs associated with the courses. So we have laboratories for all of those area courses have an associated lab, and they give you a hands-on experience with the material. So, this student is a former student of mine, and when I teach genetics, the genetics lab is we work with Drosophila. People have been working with it for 100 years. We use some classical genetic tools and work with them. And then we also incorporate modern tools where the students choose a gene that they're interested in. They isolate it, they sequence it, and analyze it to look for changes at the molecular level. But every one of these labs is designed to give you sort of a hands-on experience in that subject. And these labs are not just in the laboratory. A lot of these labs are also field-based. So you will take an ecology course of some kind. Now, you might be the environmental micro, which has a medical and sort of a human health bent, but one of the labs is going to a wastewater treatment plant and going out for a field trip out to Tift and doing some environmental sampling, looking for different bacteria and being able to identify them. So, these are, I think this is a freshwater ecology. This is wetland, going out and really experiencing the hands-on nature of science. And we strive to give you that experience in each and every one of these laboratory courses. A lot of this question is, so is it good for a pre-vet? Is this good for a pre-dental or a pre-pharmacy? Yes, it is. The program is, at the same time, there's a lot of requirements of the program. Any science is going to have a lot of requirements, but we try to give you as much choice as we can to allow you to tailor your experience to fit with whatever your level is. Some of you already know, or at least you think you know, that you want to be a doctor, that you're all set. And some of you even know, I want to be an anesthesiologist, a juvenile anesthesiologist. You've got it drilled down exactly. And maybe that is going to be start to finish what you do. We have a curriculum for that. Some of you may want to go, I want to go into marine biology. Yes, there are courses. They're going to be foundational, and then you would take things like zoology and freshwater ecology and wetlands that would give you sort of a lot of that experience, a lot of that basic coursework that would be behind that. Some of you want to get a job, and there are many flavors of employment that you can do that a bachelor's degree in biology would allow you to do. Research lab technicians, often that is the level, and we have students that are just, they excel, they love the hands-on nature, and they know that's what they want, that is what they want to do. And so they're going to go off and do that for several years, and maybe do that for the rest of their career. And we have people that, all of us that are professors here all have PhDs, and so we are well versed in what it takes to move into a graduate program. Some of you may have interacted with Dr. Backstrom, that's in the pre-health office. She works very closely with area, both in Western New York and the East Coast, and then she has a network that she's active in nationwide for pre-health, for pre-med, pre-dent, pre-vet, all of that. And so on top of our experiences advising students, working with them, she has a lot of expertise with that too. Our students are successful. We have a lot of students that go on to do PhDs. Some are in joint MD PhDs, DO, MD, vets, masters in public health. They go on to some really good places. I'm very excited. I've been very fortunate to have some really fantastic students come through my lab and do some really incredible research and go on. Just last spring, one of my students graduated and is now attending Harvard Dental School, something that he never thought he had a shot at. But Canisius prepared him so well. He did well on his DAT, and he just nailed the interview, being able to talk about his Drosophila research for dental school. It was, the passion that he brings to that. Over the last 5 years, this just gives you a sense of the numbers of students that have gone on either to med school or going on to do a master's or PhD, dental school, vet school. And these numbers are stable. Every year we send a great amount of numbers. We have a very high success rate of sending students to med school for a program. It's part of the reasons why our program is so rigorous is we have a commitment not only to get you through and support you in every way that we can, but to make sure that when you graduate, that diploma means something. And the area schools know that a Canisius degree means something. When they see a Canisius biology graduate, they know that that degree is a meaningful one. They understand that that GPA from Canisius, from bio, is meaningful. This just gives you a very quick idea of what the pathway looks like of introductory biology, the first 2 years with your chemistries. And then in your junior and senior year, you would take physics. And then you have sort of a more biology focus as you are preparing for the MCAT or preparing for the GRE if it's grad school, and then really honing your interests in biology. And then on top of that, you have the core that will give you that well-grounded liberal arts education that many businesses and many graduate schools and medical schools are looking for. Not just do you have a good science education? Are you also a human that can talk to people and interact with people and have a better grounding of the world? I'm going to mention that there are a couple other majors within the department that are sort of umbrellaed. We do have a separate environmental science program that Dr. Katie Costanzo is the director of. And we also have a clinical laboratory science program that Dr. Grebnock is the director of. And if you're interested in either of those programs, I would encourage you to reach out to them, or I'll be around after and I can give you a little bit of information on that. Before I carry on anymore, I think I will pause again, if I can, there we go, stop share. And when I talked about us being research active, I have a lab, Dr. Morey has a lab, we all have a lab. And the other nice thing about these 3 students is they're also research active. So a lot of you have been asking about that. So I'm going to shut up and let them tell you just a little bit about their research experiences, what attracted them to doing research, and the value that they're getting out of it. So maybe we'll go in reverse order. So someone who's just getting, just scratching the surface of getting started, and we'll start with Calvin.
Yeah, of course. I'm actually involved in Dr. Stewart's lab. So right here. So I approached him, I'd say right at the beginning of the spring semester. And I asked him if he'd be interested in letting me do some research in his lab, and he accepted me. And sadly, because of how the semester worked out, we only did some, general learning, a lot of techniques in his lab. But I really enjoyed a lot of it, learning a lot of the concepts behind Drosophila identification. A lot of the process of the lab was rather interesting to me. And it just kind of goes to show how early you can get involved in research. I'm only a freshman right now. And if I saw there was a question about getting involved with research as a freshman, if you're interested in doing that, you can easily do it after your first semester. Just, do some research on the research you're interested in. So there's a website on the Canisius biology department that says all of what the professors do, what their research focus is, what exactly they're working on. And if you find it interesting, you can either talk to them in person, or as I shot Dr. Stewart an email, and I just kind of said I was really interested in what you're doing, and would you like to meet with me and talk about it some more? And they're all they love to talk about their research. They're passionate about it. They're passionate about getting you involved in it. They want that. So I never heard of a professor who's ever said no to having a meeting with you about doing some research. So if after your first semester, just shoot someone an email, and then just go from there and see what happens. That's my suggestion.
Becca, how about your experiences?
I do research in Dr. Hauser's lab, so that's in microbiology, and I've been doing it since my sophomore year. So first semester of my sophomore year, I joined his research team. So my specific project is looking at a bacteriophage, so a virus that infects bacteria rather than, different cells like human cells or anything like that. And when it does infect it, it induces a gene. So it has a gene that's always there, but it's silent, doesn't do anything. But when the bacteriophage comes in, so when the virus enters the bacteria, the gene is expressed. And that causes, the normal rod-shaped bacteria to get longer, and it puffs up and then dies. So, looking far in the future, I'm doing like the basic background research, but with the growing rise of antibiotic resistance, if we can find things that infect bacteria that aren't antibiotics that can kill the bacterial cells but not our cells, that's a potential substitute for that. So it's really interesting research. I do microscopy, I grow cells, I run a lot of things on gels, so seeing lots of cool pictures and images. And then I did get to present before at Ignatian Scholarship Day, a research presentation opportunity we have at Canisius, which is really great. You make a big scientific poster and you feel proud of your work and finally get to share everything you've been spending hours a week on doing to your peers and your professors, and you answer their questions. So really good professional development at that. Don't know if I'm going. I was planning on going to a conference in August, so there's a good chance it's still happening in Madison, Wisconsin to present my research. We'll see how that goes. Not sure how the coronavirus will affect all of that, but lots of presenting opportunities you get while doing your research, both at school and outside of school. And one other thing I'll mention, I have been doing it for credit, which is cool too. It's a choice you have. And then I just applied. I'm not sure if the other students have more experience than I do in this, but Canisius has a CEAP program, Canisius Earning Excellence Program. So while I'm doing the research, I will get paid for the hours that I do to put in, which is a really great opportunity as an undergrad to get paid to do research as well. So a lot of benefits, not only like personal, exciting benefits, but also professional development benefits as well to doing research.
Henry?
I guess I'd like to make 2 points. First, for anyone that might be worried that they don't have any hands-on experience in the laboratory right now, I'd just like to point out that our introductory classes are fantastic at giving us very basic laboratory skills and then ramping it up as you go. So, in 111 and 112, you might be working often with a microscope, looking at slides, but then in 211 and 212 in biochemistry, you might be working with more complex techniques, such as gel electrophoresis. And so, they start you out with the basic level type stuff and then kind of ramp it up, which I found very helpful. And second, I guess it would be good to point out that I really liked Dr. Stewart's slide about how hands-on things get in the classroom with travel and for freshwater, going to ponds and lakes. No one made a discovery by sitting in a classroom and looking at and learning from someone else. Scientific discovery comes from empirical data. It comes from hands-on learning. And so the thing that I've taken away from Canisius is how important it is to learn by engaging in activity rather than just looking at a lecture slide. So I really like that slide, and it's applied to my research as well. So those are all great points.
Dr. Mori, would you like to add?
I would, actually. Students, so I use cancer cells as my model organism. And typically when students work in my lab, one of the things that they pursue is summer undergraduate research programs. And most of them apply to the one that's right here in Buffalo at Roswell Park. And over the years, I have had probably 6 to 8 students apply and be accepted into that program. I have 2 current students who, are supposed to go this summer, and I don't know what they're going to do with that program. But it's another way research experience at Canisius can prepare you to do research at another institution. So there was a question about how do we compare to an R1 institution. And I would just like to say that when students come into a research lab, they're actually participating in a research project. They're not just going to wash dishes or clean laboratory supplies, which commonly happens at larger institutions because they're graduate students or senior students who are actually conducting the research. So when you join a lab at Canisius, you actually become part of the team and you're working on a project, maybe completely independently or with a couple other students, depending on the type of research project that it is.
So that is actually pretty close to the end of like my canned prepared sort of stuff. I wanted to keep it brief and not just fire hose you with information. So what I would really like is if anyone's got any questions, I am, between for me or for the panel, I'm happy to get answer them. One thing last thing I will highlight is that students come to Canisius from a really wide variety of backgrounds. Some of you may be coming from a private school that gave you really a top flight, truly a pre-college experience. While others maybe are coming in with, background that you are a little more nervous about. Both within the classes, so in Bio 111, we don't throw you into one giant class with 200 students. That's about how many take it. We break you up into sections of about 30, 35 students so that your instructor, your professor is going to get to know you. You are going to get individual attention. On top of that, every class has review sessions that we offer. There are tutors at the tutoring center that are peer tutors. So Henry, I think, has done it. Becca, I'm pretty sure, has done it. Students that have excelled, and it's not just in bio, in chemistry, in calculus, in various subjects. Students that have excelled at the course are there so you can go to someone that maybe isn't your professor. Maybe you're nervous and don't want to say, well, I don't understand anything you just said on Wednesday. You have someone that can walk you through or say, okay. So much easier than Dr. Stewart made it sound. It's this and this. You get that other explanation. The other thing is we all have office hours and 5 hours a week where our door is open to you to come in and talk to us and ask questions. And almost all of us have an open door policy where students sometimes all the students just come in, plunk down and go, oh man, Dr. Stewart, have you played that new content on Destiny? And I'll be like, yes, I have. We'll chat about anything, and then it can be, I got a whiteboard in my office, I got markers. We can go to town on anything that you don't understand. And if my office hours don't work, one of the other beauties in intro bio is you don't have to come to mine. You can go to Dr. Maury's teaching 112 this semester. You could go to her, or you could go to Dr. O'Brien, or you could go to Dr. Sansa. Anyone that's teaching that course, we're all teaching the same content. You're taking the same exams. You're doing the same homework. So you can get that second explanation, a different example, a different teaching style, and you can experience that. So there are lots of support services that both we and bio offer, and then the college offers on top of that. Intro bio, introductory courses at Canisius. I always, the quickest way to get my, dander up is to say, oh, this is a weed out course. We do not have weed out courses at Canisius. Our goal is for each and every one of you to start a bio major and stay a bio major and graduate a bio major and go on to whatever it is that your job is as a Canisius bio major graduate. We want you to succeed. We have no we got to get rid of a third of you. No, I would love it if all 200 people made it through Bio 111, 112, wanted to stay bio and go on, and that's what you want to do. I would love to have the problem of creating more and more courses to meet your needs. And that's what we commit to. And so we're not trying to weed you out, but we do have standards, and our standards are pretty high. We want that degree to mean something, and C's get the degrees. That's true. C's don't get into med school, and so we know that many of you, that's what you want to do, and so we're going to hold you to a standard. But then we are going to do everything we can to make sure that you get there. So no one asked the question, but I would.
There are quite a few questions. Do you want me to read them off to you?
Well, let me just. I was just going to. I see. There's some new ones that come in, but I was just gonna just say that no one's asked about well, how are we handling this semester? And it's been interesting and it's been a challenge, but I can share just a couple things really quickly, just to give you an idea of what we're doing. So for my genetics course, I'm doing a commons largely asynchronous, but I'm doing narrated lectures. This is me in my nerd cave in the basement with my my model rocket here in the background from my childhood, and doing providing lectures. And I just have to show, because Dr. O'Brien has a green screen, and he has truly embraced this. So in the sophomore seminar, he did a whole little presentation on how to build and write a resume, where he starts off on the beach and then he moves to the boardroom and talks about his experience as a barista, and he really has embraced this. And I think we all have. Oh, my slide is up. There it is. One of the things, our mottos is, just because we haven't been in the same classroom for the last few weeks doesn't mean that we're not together. We, as a department, really are embracing this challenge to try things that we never thought of trying. So we're doing narrated lectures. I'm holding Zoom and Google Hangout office hours. And sometimes the students are just coming in to say hey and talk about their day and ask to see my pet birds. And, or we're holding office hours where I'm pulling out the whiteboard and we're going through that. We're doing some things synchronous, so having lab meetings, live. Some are asynchronous. At the same time, we understand that everyone's experience has been very different in this. And that is, and we understand each of you is an individual in your life, whether it's online or it's face-to-face. And one of the things to bring out the Jesuit part of Canisius is this idea of cura personalis, the care for the whole person. And that's something that, I find I'm almost getting a little choked up thinking about it. As I've talked to my students and the challenges they're facing with balancing work and their life and their home situation. I know Dr. Mori and all our faculty are working with each student to make sure they're taken care of. And that means being taken care of as a person, but then also being taken care of that they're still receiving the knowledge and the education that they came to Canisius for. So it's still that individual attention. I'll have students that will email me at 9 o'clock at night because they're having trouble. I'm like, you want to hop into a Google room? And we'll hop into a Google room and I will work with that student for 10, 15, 20 minutes to help them through the problem that they're dealing with, to make sure that they're taken care of. And so we don't know what the fall is exactly going to look like. We're optimistic. But whatever it looks like, each of us is committed to making sure that you get not just an education, but you get a Canisius education. Dr. Moore, you want to leap in? And
hear you.
Okay, now my mic's on.
There we go.
I was just going to ask if our students wanted to comment on their experiences with their bio courses, as to how it's going for them.
Yeah, I'd love to. Dr. Stewart, I haven't told you this, but I thought genetics was going to be the hardest course I have taken at Canisius. And while the content has been difficult because it is an upper level course, Dr. Stewart has done a great job of being available for me via Zoom. I have, emailed him a few times randomly and just asked to hop on because I've needed clarification on something. And then also all of my professors, whether it be in the biology department or, I'm also taking physics right now to prepare for the MCAT. They've all been fantastic about reaching out and just making sure that everyone is not only, getting their schoolwork done, but making sure everyone is, in equilibrium with the stuff that's going on right now, because this is a very difficult time, especially, I'm sure Becca as well. studying for the MCAT without being in a school setting can be difficult. You kind of get out of the groove of being in an academic setting. But everyone's been very fantastic about getting us on track and making sure that everything in our lives is going well at the same time with that, personal touch. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll add too that the teachers are super accommodating if you need something to be a certain way. So I know Dr. Stewart mentioned before that some classes might be scheduled for a specific time, but for the most part, it's a mix of both. My science courses are, do at your own pace, which is really nice. But then occasionally they'll obviously have office hours every week. So if you have extra questions, you can go into that to have a live conversation with your professor if it's easier than just doing it over email. For my physics, again, another science course, we have recitation every week. So a chance to do practice problems with the teacher, see other classmates again. But the nice thing about not having to do everything at a specific time is that, if you get sick of staring at a computer, I got a concussion when I had to move home. So it was kind of an inopportune time, especially going to, all the screen time. But my teachers that I have right now are super accommodating and saying, if you have to push something off. Luckily, I healed in time. It was spring break. I had to just lay down and recover. But they're super helpful with, if you have to take a little bit more time because I work, because I share a computer with all of my siblings. For whatever reason it is, they'll help you get it finished, get any extra help you might need. Or if it means you turn something in the next day, as long as you tell them ahead of time, they're super helpful with making sure you understand everything and get it all done. And that you don't have to stare at a computer, for a set amount from this time to this time every day. Mm-hmm. So it has really been really helpful.
Yeah, I think the professors have been really great at being really accommodating to the issues that we're dealing with right now. As Dr. Stewart showed Dr. O'Brien's sophomore sequence things, I'm in his Bio 112 class, and his videos do not disappoint either for that class. They're very, very entertaining. He dresses up, he makes a full production out of it, and that it's great material. I can go back to it anytime. It's pretty good. I've really enjoyed that so far. All of my classes outside of bio are all asynchronous, so I can do it at my own pace. Like Becca said, it's kind of like do your own thing. I found that you have to make sure you stay on top of everything, but the professors are right there to make you stay on top of it. Like everyone else has said, the professors are great whenever you need to hop on a Google Hangout call. I talked with Dr. O'Brien for a little bit the other day about some questions I had on some of the homeworks. They're always there for you. So that doesn't change despite the circumstances.
Thank you. So I've got some of the questions here. I'll try to go through some of them here. So, would this program help me in marine bio? I kind of sort of touched on that, many of the courses that you would need for that field are just really foundational biology, and then picking out the ones that would deal with sort of aquatic organisms. So zoology, freshwater ecology, wetlands, things in that area. Is there a specific MCAT preparation? So we don't offer an MCAT course through biology, but Dr. Backstrom has a relationship with Kaplan, is it?
Yeah.
Where there is both a discount and the course, I believe, is taught at Canisius. And you can go through that prep course. In addition to, there's just a lot of support within that we understand what you have to do. So every one of you, as a freshman, would have a bio professor as your advisor. And so one of the first things that I always ask each of my advisees is, what is your career goal? At least your current career goal, because it can change, and that's okay. And then we go through, and so I keep notes on that. And every time we meet at least once a semester. As a freshman, you'll meet twice a semester. And we'll keep tabs on that, and we'll see how your progress is. And we'll talk about the various milestones that you should be achieving. And if not, how are we going to get there? And so we help develop plans for you to make sure that you are ready to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Are you able to do research or interns at OSHI and Children's Hospital? I haven't had direct experience with that. Dr. Mori, I know that there are a lot of these that you apply for, and
Yeah, so we don't have a specific relationship with Children's or OSHI, but we have students, like I have a student in my research lab who is currently doing research at Roswell and started that independent, didn't happen through me. So there are definitely students who do research off campus. We have a senior actually who is doing a project at UB, a research project, and they're getting research credit for it at Canisius. So we have mechanisms in place to, usually students are doing it for credit if they're doing research at another institution. So I don't know if anybody has done research at Children's or OSHI in the past, but we definitely have mechanisms in place that could be accommodated.
Our class is mostly hands-on or more lecture-based. As you ask it actually really depends on the course. It really depends on what you're doing. In genetics, my lecture is far more, tends to be lecture-based. But if you were to take field ecology with Dr. Costanzo, there is a huge hands-on field component where you go out into a field and practice that, and then you bring data back and you do the hands-on analysis of it. So that it's by course, and different professors will have different styles. Our goal in all of them is to make it as engaging as possible. So it really depends on the course. Is it manageable to do another major with biology? Absolutely. It's not easy. Any science major is going to be among the ones that have the higher number of requirements. But we do have, students that are bio Spanish dual majors. We have I think all three of these students, it's not another major, but they are also, I believe, all in the honors program. And maybe I'll pause and let them, kind of talk about those experiences, sort of manageable. It's a sort of an alternative to the core, but in some ways more intense. Dr. Mori? Sure.
Sorry. I think something that the students can address is study abroad as well, because that is, it's also doable. It just takes some extra planning. And I'm pretty sure one of these students has done study abroad. So they can talk about that as well.
Yeah, I think all of those points, the honors program and studying abroad encompasses a big theme of balance within undergraduate study. I think for the person that asked, how are we different from an R1 university that would, you just study your main focus. We don't do that in the sense that we give people a lot of balance between things. I'm also an athlete. I run on our cross-country team. And so it becomes difficult for me to balance things sometimes. But with the professors that we have, they do a very good job of helping us balance that. Studying abroad, I worked with Dr. Stewart. I didn't want to study abroad at first, but my parents pushed me to do it, and they thought it would be a valuable experience, which it was. Absolutely changed my life. And Dr. Stewart and the biology department made that possible for me. I ended up taking a functional anatomy course in Scotland, which, for those of you that don't know, during the 18th century was like the hub of medicine in the world. And so it taught me a lot and reaffirmed my aspirations in medicine. The honors college has been a great experience. I tied in things that I learned in the bio department with a thesis that I wrote that's a requirement for the honors college. So everything that we have at Canisius and that we offer, I don't want to say everything you can do at the same time, but they will work as hard as they can to make sure that you can. And I think I'm just a breathing example of how that's possible. I feel like I've done a lot of stuff that's made me a better student, better person through Canisius.
So before you go, Becca, I'll just also say there's also a question for you current students. Did you know that you wanted to pursue a biology major going into your freshman year? And Henry already told us he was chemistry.
I was chem, and it wasn't. I didn't get pushed by the chem department. I got pulled by the biology department. Let's phrase it as that. The first thing I noticed within my first class I took 111 with Dr. Stewart. I noticed the community right away. Everyone was very welcoming.
Oh, and he's frozen. All right, so Becca, why don't you pick up the thread?
I did know, so I'm sorry if that's not super helpful for your question. I knew I wanted to be a biology major when I came, and I haven't switched. But I have some friends who came in undecided and had no idea they even wanted to pursue science and then chose biology. So it's really nice with the core curriculum, that we are a liberal arts school, because you can get a lot of those classes out of the way if for some reason you're unsure that you want to be a specific major, and then you can, decide sophomore year or whatever to join the bio department, which is a wonderful choice. But I also, just to add one more thing, I have an economics minor, which is completely unrelated to biology. I mean, it can be related in terms of funding, but I'm able to get all of those requirements done and still graduate on time to, in both of those fields. But I think that answered the question. Is that right, Dr. Stewart?
Yeah. Calvin?
I was also by coming in, so I'm sorry that's not really too helpful either. But I will say I do know a lot of people who came in as something that was related to like something in sciences, as they were pre-med as well, and a lot of people who were chem and biochem majors who then switched to bio this freshman year. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with the structure of the bio program. Not to say the chem department isn't structured, but for the bio department, they do a fantastic job of setting you up for something like being pre-med. They do a great job. They set up all your courses so that it perfectly aligns when you need to take the MCAT and when you need to graduate with all that. So they do a great job with that. I know there's a question about the honors program as well. I'm also in the honors program, and even though I've only taken 3 or 4 courses about it, the professors do a great job as well. It's very, very small classes, so you're only going to have about like 10, maybe 15 people in most of your honors classes, and it's a really, really great personal experience. All the professors will know who you are really in depth, and I know my first semester, my English professor really challenged me a lot more than I was ever really used to in English. So like they'll work you hard for the honors, but I think you get a lot out of it from that.
Dr. Maury.
I would just like I would just like to make sure to share that I have a student who's finishing her junior year and is also a digital media arts major and in the honors program. And her thesis is actually going to be to design a game, a mobile game, and she wants it to be educational for countries that maybe don't have as much public information about diabetes. And so she went on a medical mission trip to Central America and realized everybody there had phones, but they didn't necessarily have medical knowledge. And she thought this would be a great way to mix her digital media arts interest, her honors thesis, and her bio background. And this was really challenging, but both myself as her advisor in biology and the digital media arts program worked really hard with her to make sure she was going to be able to complete all of the requirements to do all of these things. And so there's some really unique combinations that students are doing at Canisius.
So moving on to some of the other questions. So there's that. I'll get to the note taking in a minute. Students with a pre-med focus, will you help you find patient cares and hours at hospitals? This is one of the fantastic things. I'm not from here. I'm from a lot of places, but New York has never been one of them before now. But definitely, a lot of the Canisius students, they're born in Western New York. They've been raised in Western New York. They go to med school. And even if they don't go to med school in Western New York, they come back. So we have a huge network of physicians, both DOs and MDs, that are in the area. They are also passionate about Canisius. So there are lots of opportunities for, both clinical hours and shadowing hours. And that is another one of the huge benefits of the pre-health office that we have here is Dr. Backstrom is fantastic at hooking students up and helping them find, oh, you're interested maybe in endocrinology. I know an endocrinologist that graduated, either graduated from Canisius or she knows, and you can spend some time shadowing that. Oh, you're interested in this. So we have that whole office really is focused on, it's not a major, but it is an office that is focused on this other level of support in providing you the experiences that you need, those shadowing hours, those clinical hours, those volunteer hours that you need, that at the end, when they also help you with your application, there's a whole mock interview portion of it where they will help you prepare for your med school interviews. That really just sort of support you with the day you walk in the door to the day you invite Dr. Backstrom to your white coat ceremony, because that is sort of that bookend of the Canisius experience. How come the admittance rate for PA is so low? I don't know that the admittance rate, I'm guessing you saw that over the past 5 years, there were 7 in PA. It's not that the admittance rate is low that I'm aware of. It's that actually PA is one of the most dead specific programs there is, where they specifically require anatomy, physiology, microbiology, and then half of them require genetics. It's actually more difficult to get the prerequisites for PA school than it is for MD. So many of the students, by the time they reach the end, they realize, I could be a doctor. Now, I also have had past students that, came in knowing they wanted to be a PA, and their PAs. What we're seeing now is there is an increasing number. So this is a 5-year from, the previous 5 years. We're seeing increases of students that are in the college right now going through to apply and are declaring that they're pre-PA. So that number of 7 is going to just start jumping, large as these students go on, because at least the students that I've advised and the students that I've interacted, they've been extremely successful in pursuing their PA, and not just, at top flight programs. I have a former student of mine that's currently at Damon, and in his 2nd year of his PA program there. So again, I think it's more about the number of students that we have sort of declared that, and that's the rate they're going, than it is a low rate. I don't have numbers in front of me to say that, to give you a rate, but I would suspect it's on par with the rate, same thing with dental. It's 18. It's not because we're not good. It's actually the rate for dental school is very close to 100%. It's just, we don't have nearly as many students pursuing those non-MDDO outcomes as we do doing that. You three, would you agree? That's an unfair question. What are your experiences with support from the pre-med, the pre-health office? Becca?
Yeah.
I'll start. Becca's never first, so I'm gonna...
Yeah.
So Dr. Backstrom, like Dr. Stewart mentioned before, is super helpful because all of the alumni, we have a super strong alumni network. People are super loyal to the school. So they connect with her and then she connects them with us. So they'll come in as speakers. Somebody asked a question for dental school too. We have the SPHP, the Society of Pre-Health Professionals, which is a club, and they have different committees within that. So there's a dental committee, there's an allopathic medicine, an osteopathic medicine, a PA, a veterinary. So within that club, there are certain committees and they have very specific things that reach to the specific needs of students. So I don't know a lot personally about the dental school process because I'm not involved in it, but I have a couple friends who are pre-dent and they've had speakers come in, recent alumni, students who are in dental school right now, come to talk about their process of getting in, what their study strategies were. So a lot of resources through that club specifically, that'll be very particular to your needs and what strengths that the school has, what strengths alumni have, and what they can bring back to you based on their recent experiences. So Dr. Backstrom's super helpful because she gets all those resources and sends them out to us. And then she is in charge of that club as well. So students can connect. There's a mentorship program in that too. So resources with recent graduates, current students that really help you get an idea of what you should be doing right now and what you should expect for the future.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. Dr. Backstrom's great. I think that if any of you haven't met her yet, and I know you really can't meet her right now, but as soon as you can, I would suggest meeting her. She's great. She's super helpful with anything that you need. The last semester I took her, it's a 1-credit class. It's called Health-Related Professions. So basically once a week, she would have an alumni or some doctor that she knows in some way come in, and they would basically talk about what they do and how they got to where they are today, and just kind of explain their journey and then answer any questions. And so I have a pile somewhere just full of phone numbers for contact information of doctors that I'm planning on shadowing in the future. So it's stuff like that is a really great experience. If you talk to her, she'll set anything up for you. She's great. As far as SPHP goes, as Becca mentioned, the mentorship program they did is really, really great as well. Basically it matches either a freshman and sophomore up with either a junior or senior. So my mentor this semester was actually Henry. And even though the semester was cut a little short, it was great meeting with him, and how excited he was to basically say all the things that, that he didn't do, or that he wished he did, or that he did do that get to where he is today and make him for being met. So, just stuff like that. There's so many opportunities you can just take advantage of when you're here. So, yeah.
Get your shadowing hours in. Trust me.
Yep.
So Henry, I think this is kind of up your alley. Someone did ask, would you recommend joining the honors program while being a part of the athletic team as well? How did you find it?
Well, the last part of the question asks, do you find it manageable? I don't think manageable. It's not even like a debate. There, for a lot of the athletes that I've noticed on my team, there seems to be a negative connotation with the honors department, that they just give more work. It's the same thing as the core curriculum, but they give more work. That it could not be more untrue. The honors department is so unique in that a lot of the way we go about our classes are discussion based. You go into a little more depth about specific things, and most of the classes are tailored to more specific interests rather than just overall religions 101. You go into a lot more depth about specific things that you become interested in. And another difference is that at the end, when you're a junior or senior, you write a thesis paper instead of that is, of course, anything that you are interested in, as opposed to in the core curriculum, taking a senior capstone course. I had no trouble managing being an honor student with being an athlete. And I get it. I know, especially in running, you are a 24-hour athlete. Every hour of the day, you are doing something that pertains to you being an athlete, whether it be rest, recovery, or 2-a-day practices. I get it, but it's really not bad at all, I promise. So I managed it fine. I have plenty of other students on my team that managed it as well. So,
Dr. Maury?
I'd just like to point out that our student athletes and overall at the college have a higher GPA than non-athlete students. That demand on your time tends to force students to do better time management and to really plan out when they're going to do their schoolwork and when they're going to be at practice. And so it really does develop skills that will be applicable when they apply to postgraduate programs. And so I just wanted to put that in there. We have many athletes in in biology. And, you know, when they have to miss classes for athletic competitions, then, you know, we're there to meet with them when they get back to go over any material they missed and any questions they have. So I just wanted to offer the perspective of the faculty.
And we have, you know, I have had in my years many student athletes, very common runners. So track and field and cross country, swimming and diving. I've had soccer players. I've had baseball players. I've had men's lacrosse. And that is one thing. There's at the athletic office, you know, a lot of time and a lot of energy is spent really working with the students to both maintain and support them academically, and then on our end to make it possible for them to miss the class that they need to miss for their meets and their competitions. And then at the same time, not say, oh, you missed an exam or you missed office hours. You know, we'll meet with students. We'll do whatever it takes to support you. So whether it's manageable is going to be personal. It's going to be a very personal decision on what you can and can't handle, which it dovetails, you know, what do you find the most effective note taking? There isn't one size fits all. What works for me might be terrible for someone else. One of the things that we didn't talk about is for the past 3 years, and hopefully this fall will be the 4th year, we've offered something that's called Bio Boot Camp. And it's part of a grant that I have that's about supporting people in STEM, in science, and helping them achieve success. And what we have done is the couple days, like the 3 days before freshman orientation, anyone that is enrolled in Bio 111, so whether you're a biology major or you're some other major, but you're in Bio 111, we invite you to come to campus, move in if you're local, or if you're in the dorms, move in early, or if you're local, you can just attend. And those days, it really is a boot camp. It is a, bam, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Intensive skills based. And one of the skills we go through is note taking. So we go through some of the science of note taking and memory retention. We actually give you a couple little mini lectures that are pulled right out of 111, lectures that you will be getting, a couple weeks later. And we do 2 or 3 of them to allow you to attempt to practice some of the note-taking techniques that we've tried. And I had a student, Liz Wing Daniels, that tried a note-taking style. I think it's called the Princeton style, and it's actually a way of setting your notes up. And she tried it thinking, this is going to be terrible. And she just like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And that's the way that, later on in 111, one of the things that we help you do is do outlines of your readings. And she did her notes in that style. And at the end, she was like, this worked so well for me. So part of it is we try to help you figure out, what works best for you. And that can be, you discuss it with your advisor, you discuss it with the Griff Center. So the Griff Center has tutoring that is not course specific, but is about academic success. And they have expertise specifically in learning styles and help to identify what yours are, and then help you figure out a universal way to succeed in your courses. And the last one, probably Dr. Mori is a little more experienced with it than I have. What are common internships biology majors participate in? Because I know she's talked about Roswell, and I know she's had several students.
Yeah, Roswell is a very common place where students do other experiential learning, right? So the biology program doesn't have formal internships. It's not a requirement of the degree, whereas it is for some other programs like environmental science. The internships are required. So students do a variety of experiences, some which are research-based at other locations, Roswell being the one I'm the most familiar with. But we have a student this semester who's pretty much doing an internship at UB, doing research kind of more biophysics related. And we've had we had students do research at in conjunction with faculty elsewhere. So and Henry's gonna add to that in just a minute. And so you can do it just to get the experience, or you can do it for credit. And it just depends on what the circumstances are. But we're very flexible with students, and we try very hard to work with them to facilitate those experiences. So Henry?
Yeah. So I'm currently in an internship with a company called Pepid, and they're based in Phoenix, Arizona. And I learned about this from a past bio student that had done it, and it sounded perfect for me. It's actually in bioinformatics, and it's really applicable to what I want to do with medicine. It's a great experience. Not only that, but it also connects to what I'm doing, what I'm learning back in school. So the current project that I'm working on at Pepid is related to statistical analysis of various studies and showing various theoretical treatments efficacy. And I learned a lot of the math that I have to do through Dr. Stewart's genetics course. And so it's been great, and I'm getting 3 credits for it. I'm getting college credit, and it's a great thing to put on my resume. So I think being a bio major, you have a lot of different opportunities for internships. For anyone that might be wanting to do ABEC as well, I have a friend that had an internship at the Buffalo Zoo, and that turned into a job as soon as he graduated. So the opportunities are great for internships, yeah. And I think that also connects to the vast alumni network.
And there are also some things they're called REUs, Research Experience for Undergraduates, and many R1 universities have these grants that cover this, that pay a student a stipend, usually gives them sort of room and board, and it's a summer experience. And we've had multiple students that have done that, gone to some, exotic locations like South Dakota or, Virginia, and have done, a lot of different sort of experiences that, expose them to faculty other than those at Canisius. They're designed to be these sort of bite-sized summer chunks where they don't pay to take. They usually, get a little bit of pay to do them. It certainly doesn't cost them anything. Dr. Hauser this last summer went back to where he got his PhD at WashU in St. Louis. And he was actually able to take a couple students with him, and so they were able to experience research at another institution in a big sort of high-powered microbiology lab. Now, that's not something that's going to happen every year, but there are opportunities, and I am always looking for them. And as I see things, I will pass things on to other students or other professors and say, I think this is a great opportunity for your students. I've written many letters of recommendation for students wanting to do these summer research experiences. So there are a lot of them out there. And as a Canisius student, you'll be successful, because the other thing is, because we do get to know you so well, when we do write a letter of recommendation, I know Henry really, really well. And so in his letter, it's not a sterile, Henry took this class, he got an A. I mean, yes, but I can also talk about all the various things that I really know about him. I know his passion. I know his, his morals. I know his ethics. I know his intelligence. And I look forward to, over the next 3 years, getting to know Calvin the exact same way, so that, the letters are really, they say so much more than you would get when you are, I postdoced at University of California, Santa Barbara, and I taught introductory biology. I had 687 students. I knew none of them. I taught in basically Montana. I taught in the theater on campus, mic'd up. I didn't write any letters of recommendation because I didn't know a single one of those students, even though some of them asked me. I'm like, I can't write you a letter other than to say, oh, they got this grade. I did not know the students. Even those students that I only ever have in Bio 111, I still can write them letters, meaningful letters, because I am always observing. We do group work. And so I can look at how they interact with the other students in the group and go, oh, that student is a leader. That student is keeping their group on task. Oh, this student has a difficult student in their group, and man, they are patient with that student. Those are all things that I can talk about in letters.
Could I add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So as I alluded to before, the internship that I work with, I think it's important to mention that this just kind of alludes to the community of the bio department. The founder, CEO, and president of that company was a bio major at Canisius, and he went into not medical school, he was not a PA, but he founded this company, and obviously makes a good amount of money from it. So the notion that everyone going into, if anyone is scared that everyone going into a bio major is either pre-med, pre-PA, that's not true. We have a lot of people that end up doing vastly different things and being very happy that they went into those, went through the bio major and got that experience. So I'm sorry, I thought that was important to bring up.
No, I think that's good. Do you have any advice to give students who want to start their research and ways to combine interests? I'll let Dr. Mori pounce on this one first.
So, for me personally, the content of the sophomore sequence is really important for the type of research that I do. So most of the students that I have, they join my lab during their sophomore year. I have to say that they don't leave. Students who join my lab stick around. I don't think I could get rid of them if I wanted to. And they're really dedicated. I have students who get into the lab before I'm in my office sometimes. And so maybe I should look at the actual question I'm answering. So getting involved, you reach out to the faculty that you're interested in, let them know you're interested. Most students start as volunteers and see if it's really something they want to do. And a lot of times I think students like it because it's another community. The lab students get really close to each other. We get really close one-on-one, and that contributes to a long-term relationship as well as, these really personal letters of recommendation. And so, you just have to indicate you're interested in it and go from there and see where it takes you. And I had one of my research students, I think he's completing his PhD at the Mayo Clinic. And so they go off to really great places and do some really amazing work. So.
And I would say is with regards to combining interests, Dr. Moore is one of my, is a really good friend. I mean, and Dr. Hauser is, he's a brother from another mother. We love the same things. Dr. Grebnock is our biochemist. And so the project that Henry is, it's now 3 or 4 years strong. It started because I had a student that he was interested in the fly work that I did, but was also interested in biochemistry. And so Dr. Grebnock and I worked together to figure out, well, how could we combine flies, which is what I do, and biochemistry, what he did. And we came up with a project that's, that straddles the lab. We had a former Canisius student that did a teaching postdoc here that also is an ornithologist. And she had some students that were both interested in ornithology, but also interested in that other thing.
Microbiome.
Microbiology, thank you. And so there was actually a joint project looking at the microbiome of birds. So collecting bird poop from the field, bringing it in, and then cataloging and identifying the bacteria species. I'm waiting for a student that wants to do the microbiome of flies. So Dr. Hauser and I can do a project. Believe it or not, flies can get forms of cancer. So, there is, when I work with students, I often sit down and I'll say, hey, these are some project ideas I have. But if you've got an idea, let me know. And so I had students, I graduated a few years ago now, that were in, I think, entomology with Dr. Costanzo, and they got really interested in phenotypic plasticity. And they said, we're interested in doing something with this. And I went, okay, I don't know much about it. I did some research, they did some research, and we designed a really fantastic project that showed something new in that. And that's, one of the papers I'm going to be working on writing this summer is writing up their results. So, most of us, all of us are happy to look for ways that our labs can interact to really tailor what your interests are and give you a project that's as closely aligned or at least similar to what you're interested in. Dr. Maury?
So I know I mentioned earlier the current student who's a digital media arts major and honor student. So she's combining all of that and designing a game for her thesis. So there's that type of combination. Also, one of my earlier students was a bio major and anthropology major, and she wound up doing a study abroad in Peru. So it's not really research-based, but it's a combination of interests that are, kind of unique. And I know Becca said she's getting a minor in economics. So there are ways to combine your very different interests while still being a bio major and being a successful bio major at Canisius. We have a current senior that Dr. Stewart alluded to earlier, who is a Spanish major, has also been doing research in Dr. Hauser's lab, and he actually worked on 2 major research projects, one with Dr. Hauser and one related to Spanish and medical discrepancies or disparities, in different in Spanish speaking populations. So there's a number of ways to combine very, very different interests while being a biology major.
Great. All right. Well, it looks like you guys got through all the questions. Any last, that was great. Lots of great questions. Any last words there, Dr. Stewart or Dr. Maury? Anything you want to close with?
I'll just say, so one thing I'll say is if anyone wants a more personal face-to-face, please reach out to either me or Dr. Maury. I'm happy to do a one-on-one Zoom with you, with your family or a Google Hangout, whatever works best for you, to answer more personal questions and about, that. So I'd be happy to do that. Henry, Becca, Calvin, anyone have any last second things that you'd like to add? Take that as a no. And then Dr. Maury?
The thing that really struck me when I came here, I'll be starting my 10th year in the fall, is really the sense of community that exists. And one of the things that we did not that long ago was we redesigned the biology office, and now there's a space we refer to as the library, and it's really a place for the students to gather. It's not a huge space, but it's a conference room where students can gather, and there's a whiteboard in there, and there's snacks in there, and so students are always welcome to go in there and study or just hang out. And it really fosters that sense of community that we think is so important in our department. And so, when I start teaching an upper level class and I look at my roster, I know all the students who are going to be in my class and they know me. And that is really unique. And that's what you get when you come to a smaller school, but it's really emphasized in our department, I think.
So I think there's one last question I think is a perfect one to end on. So to the students, why did you choose Canisius? Henry, why are you here?
So mine was, I think a big thing for students that want to go to medical school, but then are also athletes. I will admit athletics had a big part of why I chose Canisius. It seemed like a perfect fit for me. Great Division I teams and a great student athlete network. But on top of that, I think one thing that really drew me in was the sense of a small school. Both of my older brothers went to pretty large schools. I think the schools they went to were minimum 15,000 must have been undergraduate students. And while they did enjoy their experience, both of them had a very tight-knit group of friends, and really, to me at least, didn't seem to expand out much from that. sometimes it can be a little much seeing all the same people on campus all the time, but you grow to love it. I pass by my friends every day going to class, it's easy to, make up study groups, not only on the student basis, but on the professor basis as well. Getting to know your professors has been a huge plus for me at Canisius, and I knew that would happen when I chose this school, and I'm very lucky that I did develop the relationships with the professors that I have had. Two of them wrote me letters of recommendation for medical school, so hopefully that works out. I'm sure it will, but I feel very lucky for that, and so knowing that going into selecting my schools, knowing that I'd get that personalized experience was a big one for me.
Becca?
I always twist this question because I decided on the very last day. So I did decide because one, I knew the biology program was super strong. Two, the financial aid was helpful. And three, it was Catholic. And I knew for me, that's super important. I wanted to be at a school where I knew I wouldn't have to, search for a place to go to mass. But obviously none of those things are compelling enough for me to right away, I know it's Canisius. So I answer why I stayed rather than why I chose Canisius. And I think part of it is, it is the family community aspect of it. And it might sound cliche because you hear that a lot. But for me, people think it's weird because I am a tour guide, but I am more of an introvert and I didn't know anyone coming to Canisius. So I was naturally worried about finding friends and essentially fitting in. You're a senior, you're top dog, and then you start again back at the bottom of the totem pole essentially as a freshman. So so I was a little bit, it's a natural worry that a lot of people have even when they know people going to a school. But I never felt like a freshman, which was huge because the other students, the other faculty members were always like, welcome to Canisius. You're part of Canisius. You're a Griff. And it was never, you're a new student. You never stuck out for any reason as being a different or a new aspect of the community. And it always felt like home. And so I have, my groups of friends from being a resident. I have my group of friends in biology. I have my Bible study friends. So whatever you get involved in, you get a group of friends from, which is really big. And that was something that was scary for me, but just always because I felt like I was where I was supposed to be right when I came there is why I stayed. And obviously the biology program is so amazing. So
yeah, so the first thing I'll start off with is I was really impressed with the biology department from the moment I visited here. So I love that. The other thing was that the smallest of the school. I grew up in my high school. I graduated with about 80 other people. So, I was used to classes of 15, 20 people, not many in each individual class. And I wanted to college to reflect that. And that's exactly what Canisius does for me. It gives you that close-knit community feel, as both Henry and Becca have said. And then I think the thing that really, people always think of what's the moment you decided that that was your school. I remember I was on a tour and I was walking just down a hallway with a tour guide, and every single person, almost every single person said, "Oh, hey, welcome to Canisius. Welcome to Canisius. How you doing? You liking your tour so far?" It was insane. You got all these students who are just they don't know who you are. You're just some random person touring, and they're all saying hi. And it was just that, that feeling is something that you just don't get at a, if you tour at a big school like UB or something like that. So that was the main factor for me.
Awesome.
I think we're good.
Did you have one last thing, Henry?
Yeah, I was just going to say, lastly, I think it's important to speak on the city of Buffalo. I was born in Buffalo. I moved to Rochester when I was in about 7th grade. And obviously now I'm going to school back in Buffalo, except currently I'm in my dad's office. But Buffalo has, at least from the change that I saw in some of the downtown areas, is absolutely amazing. And Canisius makes it very accessible to get to those places. Places like Elmwood and Hurdle have some of the best food you'll ever have in your life. Very multicultural. And Canisius is just great because everything is so accessible from the school. The downtown areas, getting out, if you're doing, let's say, just research at UB, getting out to UB is easy. It's a great city. A lot of pride in the city. Go Bills. And I think the school's perfect for where it is in the city and for the city itself. So yeah, sorry.
Awesome. No, thank you.
Any tidbit.
Yes. Well, I think this has been really great. We've covered so much, and we've gotten to really ask questions from the students that obviously, the things that they really want to know about. So that's awesome. For those of you who are seniors this year, kind of making your decision right now, please don't hesitate. Like Dr. Stewart said, reach out. Both of them are willing to answer the questions on a more individual basis. If you have general questions or you are not sure, who you need to talk to, you can always reach out to the admissions office. We are a good first point of contact. We'll put you with the people that you need to talk to. We'll connect you with them. Thank you to all the students for helping and advocating and talking about the biology program. And thank you, Dr. Stewart and Dr. Morey, for agreeing to put this on virtually. I think it was definitely a successful event. So everybody watching and all of the panelists here, again, thank you for attending, and everybody stay healthy and be well, and hopefully everybody will all be together, all of our new students, our current students, our staff and our faculty, hopefully we'll all be back on campus very soon. So thank you all and have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you.